Did you know, truly consider, that without the intellectual ferment in a land called Mesopotamia, the very device you're using to watch this, the intricate dance of code and electricity, might never have come to be? Or picture this, the thrilling spectacle of the Olympics, the very bedrock of democratic discourse. These are gifts, echoes from ancient Greece reverberating through millennia. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That so much of what we take for granted, the invisible architecture of our daily lives, has roots stretching back thousands of years to civilizations whose names now sound like whispers from a distant dream. Today, we embark on a journey, not through space, but through time. We're setting our sights on those extraordinary civilizations, the titans of antiquity, whose ingenuity and ambition literally sculpted the world we inhabit. We'll trace the threads of their innovations, their philosophies, their triumphs, and yes, even their mundane solutions to everyday problems, to see how they are woven into the very fabric of our 21st century existence. It's a story of human endeavor, of discovery, and of the enduring power of ideas to transcend empires and epics. From the first strokes of recorded language, the monumental legal codes that sought order in chaos, to the breathtaking artistry that still captivates our souls, the political experiments that dared to empower the ordinary citizen, and even the surprisingly sophisticated plumbing that brought sanitation to burgeoning cities. The ancient world is not merely a collection of ruins and artifacts, it's a living presence. If you're as curious as I am about how these ancient currents continue to shape the tides of our present, then give this video a like, settle in, and let's begin this extraordinary exploration together. The dawn between the rivers, Mesopotamia's enduring gifts. Our voyage into the deep past begins in a sun-scorched land nestled between two mighty rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This fertile crescent, often hailed as the cradle of civilization, is Mesopotamia, a name that itself whispers of its geography, the land between the rivers. Here, in what is now modern-day Iraq, the Sumerians emerged, a people of extraordinary vision. Imagine a world without writing, where memory was the sole keeper of history, law, and story. The Sumerians shattered that silence. They gifted us cuneiform, a script of wedge-shaped marks pressed into wet clay, preserving their thoughts, their transactions, their myths for over 5 millennia. This wasn't just communication, it was the birth of recorded history. A profound leap for humankind. But the Sumerians' ingenuity didn't cease with the invention of script. They were pioneers in urban living, establishing some of the world's first true cities like Ur and Uruk, bustling hubs of culture, trade, and governance. Within these city-states, they conceived of and codified laws, most famously exemplified by the Code of Hammurabi, a comprehensive legal framework that sought to bring justice and order to a complex society. Think about that, the audacity to declare that rules should be written, visible, and applied. They even developed rudimentary forms of banking, a testament to their sophisticated economic understanding and the need to manage the resources of a thriving civilization. Their spiritual aspirations reached skyward in the form of ziggurats, colossal stepped temple towers that dominated the Mesopotamian landscape. These weren't just buildings, they were bridges to the divine architectural expressions of their cosmology, centers of religious and civic life. And consider the invisible structures they built, the concepts that still underpin our measurement of the world, the division of an hour into 60 minutes, a minute into 60 seconds, the circle into 360 degrees. These aren't arbitrary numbers, they are a legacy of the Sumerian sexagesimal system, a mathematical framework that has proven remarkably enduring and practical, influencing fields from astronomy to navigation. The ripples of Mesopotamian innovation spread far and wide, laying foundational stones upon which subsequent civilizations would build. The very idea of a society governed by recorded law, the ability to organize complex urban environments, the systems to measure time and space, these were not just incremental improvements, they were revolutionary transformations. They allowed for a scale of social organization, a depth of collective memory, and a precision in understanding the world that was previously unimaginable. Mesopotamia didn't just invent things, it invented the very tools for future invention, for building even grander, more complex societies. The Nile's legacy, pyramids, pharaohs, and papyrus. From the Fertile Crescent, our journey takes us southwest to the banks of another life-giving river, the majestic Nile. Here arose ancient Egypt, a civilization whose name alone conjures images of unparalleled grandeur, mystique, and an almost timeless endurance. For millennia, Egyptian society flourished, its rhythms dictated by the annual inundation of the Nile, a predictable gift that sustained its agriculture and its people. And what a society it was! They erected monuments so colossal, so precisely engineered, that even today, with all our advanced technology, we gaze upon the pyramids of Giza and wonder, how? These weren't mere tombs, they were declarations of power, faith, and an extraordinary understanding of mathematics and logistics. The Egyptians possessed a profound belief in an afterlife, a continuation of existence beyond the mortal realm. This belief permeated every facet of their culture, from their elaborate burial rituals and mummification practices to their rich and complex pantheon of gods and goddesses. Deities like Ra, the sun god, sailing his bark across the heavens, Anubis, the jackal-headed guardian of the dead weighing the hearts of souls, and Isis, the divine mother and magician. These figures populated a spiritual landscape as intricate and fascinating as their earthly one. Their history, their beliefs, their daily lives were meticulously recorded in hieroglyphics, a captivating system of pictorial writing that adorned temple walls, papyrus scrolls, and tombs, preserving their voice across the ages. For centuries, these beautiful symbols remained an enigma, a silent testament to a lost world. Then came the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, a linguistic key that unlocked the secrets of hieroglyphics, allowing us to finally read the stories, the decrees, the poems, and the prayers of the ancient Egyptians. It was as if a direct line of communication had been opened to a civilization 3,000 years gone. And beyond their monumental achievements in spiritual depth, the Egyptians were also remarkably practical innovators. Consider this. They are credited with inventing a form of toothpaste, crafting elaborate wigs for fashion and hygiene, and quite astonishingly, documenting the first known peace treaty in history with the Hittites. Ancient Egypt, therefore, presents us with a stunning tapestry of human achievement. It was a civilization that could marshal immense resources to build for eternity, yet also paid attention to the details of daily life. Their understanding of astronomy was crucial for their agricultural calendar, their bureaucratic systems managed a vast kingdom efficiently, and their medical knowledge, recorded on papyri, shows a surprisingly sophisticated approach to healing. The legacy of Egypt is not just in its stone monuments, but in its demonstration of how a society can sustain itself, innovate, and leave an indelible mark on the human story through a unique blend of spiritual aspiration and worldly pragmatism. Chapter 3. The Crucible of Thought, Democracy, Philosophy, and the Hellenic Spirit. Now let us sail westward across the Mediterranean, to the sun-drenched lands and scattered islands of ancient Greece. If you've ever participated in a democratic vote, been moved by the drama of a play, pondered the fundamental questions of existence, or even cheered on athletes in a marathon, you are in a very real sense experiencing the echoes of the Hellenic world. The Greeks, particularly the Athenians, dared to experiment with a radical form of government, or rule by the people. Imagine the audacity in an age dominated by kings, pharaohs, and emperors to propose that citizens should have a direct voice in the governance of their city-state. It was a revolutionary spark. This intellectual dynamism wasn't confined to politics. Greece was the birthplace of philosophy as we understand it. The love of wisdom, the systematic investigation of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence. Picture Socrates wandering the agora of Athens, relentlessly questioning assumptions, urging his fellow citizens to know thyself. Consider his student Plato, who envisioned ideal forms and explored the nature of justice and the perfect society in his dialogues. And then there was Aristotle, Plato's own student, whose encyclopedic mind laid the groundwork for formal logic, empirical science, and vast swaths of Western thought for centuries to come. They taught us not just to think, but to think. The Greek imagination also populated the world with a vibrant tapestry of myths and legends, stories of gods, goddesses, heroes, and monsters that explored the complexities of the human condition. From the mighty labors of Hercules and the cunning of Odysseus to the tragic fate of Oedipus and the epic saga of the Trojan horse, these tales were more than mere entertainment. They were a cultural lexicon, imparting moral lessons, explaining natural phenomena, and providing a shared narrative that bound Greek society together. These stories have resonated through the ages, inspiring art, literature, and drama, their archetypes still recognizable in our modern storytelling. What the ancient Greeks cultivated was a profound respect for reason, for beauty, for the potential of the human mind and spirit. Their inquiries into ethics, politics, mathematics, and the natural world were driven by an insatiable curiosity and a belief in the power of rational discourse. The architectural perfection of the Parthenon, the timeless beauty of their sculpture, the enduring power of their epic poems and dramatic plays, all speak to a civilization that valued excellence and sought to understand and elevate the human experience. The Hellenic spirit, with its emphasis on critical thinking and aesthetic refinement, became a wellspring from which much of Western civilization would later draw its deepest intellectual and cultural nourishment. Chapter 4. The Builders of Empire, Roman Law, Legions, and Lingua Franca. Our final destination on this grand tour of antiquity is the mighty civilization of Rome. If the Greeks were the great thinkers and dreamers, the Romans were the ultimate pragmatists, the engineers, the organizers, the empire builders. They absorbed and adapted many Hellenic ideas, particularly in art, philosophy, and religion, but then infused them with their own distinct character, a relentless drive for order, efficiency, and unparalleled military prowess. Rome didn't just conquer territories, it assimilated them, building an empire that stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the deserts of Mesopotamia, an empire that would cast a long shadow over the future of Europe and beyond. One of Rome's most enduring legacies lies in its remarkable feats of engineering. The Romans were master builders, constructing vast networks of roads, so famously durable that some are still in use today. All roads lead to Rome, the saying goes, and for good reason. These arteries of stone connected the sprawling empire, facilitating trade, communication, and the rapid deployment of legions. They engineered colossal aqueducts, marvels of hydraulic science that carried fresh water for miles to supply their burgeoning cities, enabling sanitation and public baths on a scale previously unseen. These weren't just infrastructure projects, they were tangible demonstrations of Roman power and ingenuity, transforming landscapes and daily life. The Romans also bequeathed to us a sophisticated and influential legal system. Roman law, with its emphasis on principles like innocent until proven guilty, the importance of evidence, and the concept of natural law, evolved over centuries and became the foundation for many legal codes in the Western world. Their language, Latin, became the lingua franca of the empire and the scholarly language of Europe for centuries, giving root to the Romance languages Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, and enriching English with countless words. Their political structures, notably the Senate and the concept of a republic, though later an empire, provided models and warnings for future governments. Even Roman entertainment and social customs, the spectacle of gladiatorial contests in grand amphitheaters like the Colosseum, the elaborate public baths that served as social hubs, their sophisticated villas with intricate mosaics, offer a window into a society that valued both disciplined organization and lavish public display. The Romans demonstrated an extraordinary capacity for administration, managing a vast and diverse empire through a combination of military strength, legal frameworks, and a shared, albeit imposed, cultural identity. Their genius lay in taking existing ideas, refining them, and applying them with an unparalleled organizational zeal, creating an empire whose influence on governance, language, and the very map of the Western world is undeniable. Outro: Our Ancient Inheritance, Living History. So as we draw this journey to a close, what unites these seemingly disparate ancient realms of Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome? It's a profound realization. They didn't just crumble into dust and leave behind picturesque ruins for tourists to admire. No, their true legacy is far more vibrant, far more pervasive. They bequeath to us an inheritance of ideas, innovations, and institutions that are deeply embedded in the very operating system of our modern world. They left legacies that continue to breathe and shape our lives every single day. Consider this: every time you decipher the written word in a book or on a screen, you're touching a tradition that began with Sumerian clay tablets. Each instance you interact with a system of law, seeking justice or understanding your rights, you're walking in the footsteps of Hammurabi and Roman jurists. When you cast a vote in an election, you're participating in an experiment that first flickered to life in ancient Athens. Even an act as mundane as flushing a toilet owes a debt to the engineering prowess that brought sanitation to ancient cities. These civilizations invented, refined, or dared to dream up these concepts thousands of years ago, and we are their inheritors. The past you see is never truly past. It's a constant, dynamic presence. Now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Which of these monumental ancient civilizations, Mesopotamia with its foundational inventions, Egypt with its timeless grandeur, Greece with its intellectual fire, or Rome with its empire of order, do you believe has cast the longest, most significant shadow on our modern world? Share your perspectives in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this exploration, if you crave more journeys into the fascinating tapestry of history presented in a way that's simple, smart, and packed with amazing insights, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow curious minds, and subscribe for new adventures every week. Until next time, keep looking up and keep looking back.